uk/action line, or call the BBC Action Line to hear recorded information on 08000 924 303. Well, let's discuss that report with Lucy Talon, a journalist who's written about her own positive experiences of ECT, and Jane Harris, who's from the charity RETHINK Mental Illness. Do you think we should rethink ECT? Because I think most of us, I certainly had the one flew over the cuckoo's nest idea, that was it.
Well, I think we should always recognise that ECT can be helpful for some people. And in the same way that we might opt for a treatment like chemotherapy, which has some severe side effects if we had cancer, some people are going to want to try it. And I think that's absolutely fair enough. I think the real question is, why are we not further ahead in mental health research? And actually what we need to be doing is offering people other treatments and making sure that all the treatments are available, which unfortunately they're not at the moment.
Were you struck by actually the question about connectivity? So ECT may be revealing something very important, even if it's not the way of solving that problem.
Absolutely, and it's absolutely right that we are making some real breakthroughs in neuroscience, and what we should be doing as a country is investing much, much more in that. At the moment, the whole of mental health research only gets 5% of the research budget, even though we know the World Health Organization says that depression alone will be the leading cause of disability by 2020. If we want to be competitive as a country, you were talking about the economy earlier, we need to be a healthy society, and that means making sure that we've got much better treatments for all the people who are unfortunate enough to suffer depression.
Lucy, when you watched that film, it must have struck a lot of chords for you.
It's really interesting, yeah.
And it works for you, but did you see it as the last resort, having tried other things?
Yes, I've tried pretty much everything. Every pill under the sun, different types of therapy, CBT, mindfulness. And I felt absolutely rock bottom when I tried it, so I didn't really feel like I could feel any worse.
But was it not, I mean, it looks, to an outsider, it looks pretty horrible, actually.
But it doesn't matter what it looks like. What matters is what it's like for you undergoing it. And you're asleep. I mean, most people don't realise you have a general anaesthetic, you don't convulse, you're asleep. And quite often you wake up and you feel better.
Did you suffered from some small side effects?
Yeah, I do. I have comparatively minor side effects. I have some short-term memory loss and a sort of slightly sort of slower brain function. But it's annoying. It's no more than that. It's not nothing, but it's not any worse than annoying.
It was an interesting comparison with chemotherapy.
Yeah.
In other words, however annoying it is, it's a lot better than the disease.
Yeah. The comparison is, I mean, it's enormous.
What did you make, though, of the... I know some of the figures here are very difficult to get quite right, but the idea that a third of patients feel quite serious side effects. If it was a drug that had a third of people saying this gives me serious side effects, we probably wouldn't use it.
I'm not sure that's actually true in mental health. Unfortunately, some of the drugs that we use in mental health really go back to the 50s and and beyond as well. So people, for example, who take antipsychotic drugs, if they've got schizophrenia, you get men who might lactate as a result of that. You get people who shake all the time. We're talking, a lot of the treatments in mental health have side effects, and that's why it's so important that people have a choice. People need to know exactly what the risks are of the treatment so that they can then say, that's the one that I think I can cope with the side effects.
But quite a lot of people don't get the choice to say we want it because they are regarded as too ill.
That's true, and people also don't get the choice to have psychological therapies, which have much, less severe side effects. We've had a massive increase recently in the number of psychologists for people with mild to moderate depression, but for people with severe depression, with bipolar, with schizophrenia, there are still thousands of people in this country who've been waiting years to have any kind of psychological therapy, and that's a scandal. And really, honestly, that should be at the top of Jeremy Hunt's, Hunt's to-do list, and it isn't.
Well, maybe we'll get him in and ask him. But just on the specific thing, you heard one of the scientists in the piece saying, the trouble is it's a bit like cocaine. I mean, do you see any analogy that it's something that it's a treatment, certainly not a cure, and it becomes addictive?